Captain James Wright checked his navigation console for the third time. The readings made no sense. His cargo ship, the Morning Star, was alone in deep space. The nearest planet was 4 days away, yet his sensors detected something impossible. There was another life form on his ship. James had been a cargo pilot for 12 years. He knew every sound his ship made, every vibration, every sensor reading. He traveled alone, hauling supplies between colonies. It was quiet work. Lonely sometimes, but he liked the peace. Now that peace was broken. "Computer, run full internal scan," James said. His voice echoed in the empty cockpit. "Scanning," the ship's computer replied. "One life form detected. Human. That is you, Captain." "No," James said firmly. "Scan again. There's something else." The computer hummed. "Scanning complete. Additional life form detected in cargo bay. 3. Species unknown. No match in database." James felt his stomach tighten. Cargo Bay 3 held medical supplies for the colony on Deneb 7. The bay was sealed, temperature controlled. Nothing should be alive in there. He stood and grabbed his emergency kit. Inside was a medical scanner, a flashlight, and a communication device. No weapons. James didn't carry weapons. He never needed them. The walk to Cargo Bay 3 felt longer than usual. The ship's corridors were narrow and gray. His footsteps rang on the metal floor. The lights flickered slightly, the way they always did when the ship was in deep space mode. James reached the cargo bay door. He pressed his hand against the access panel. The door hissed open. Cold air rushed out. The medical supplies needed low temperatures. James's breath made small clouds in the air. He stepped inside and turned on his flashlight. Rows of sealed containers filled the bay. Everything looked normal, organized, exactly as it should be. Then he heard it. A small sound, like breathing, soft and quick. "Hello?" James called out. His voice was gentle, not threatening. "I know you're here. I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to help." Silence. James walked slowly between the containers. He moved carefully. He didn't want to scare whoever or whatever was hiding. "My name is James," he continued. "This is my ship. You're safe here. I promise." Another sound. This time, from behind a stack of containers in the far corner. James approached slowly. He kept his flashlight pointed at the floor, not wanting to blind anyone with the sudden light. Behind the containers, he found her. She was small, maybe 4 feet tall. Her skin was pale blue, almost translucent. Large dark eyes stared at him with fear. She had no hair. Her fingers were long and delicate. She wore torn clothing that might have once been a uniform. She was shaking. "Hey," James said softly. He knelt down, making himself smaller, less threatening. "It's okay. You're safe." The creature, the child, James realized, she was just a child, pressed herself against the wall. She made a small sound. Not words, just fear. James set down his flashlight and slowly reached for his medical scanner. "I'm just checking if you're hurt. This won't hurt you. See?" He scanned himself first, showing her the device was harmless. Then, he carefully scanned her. The readings appeared on his scanner screen. She was severely dehydrated, malnourished. Her body temperature was too low, even for the cold cargo bay. She had been here for days, maybe a week. "Oh, you poor thing," James whispered. "How did you get on my ship?" He thought back to his last stop, Port Station 17. He had loaded cargo there 5 days ago. The station was always crowded, chaotic. Someone small could easily slip aboard a ship. But why? Why would a child hide on a cargo vessel? James knew he needed to warm her up, get her food and water. but he had to move slowly. She was terrified. "I'm going to stand up now," he said gently. "I'm going to get you some warm blankets and food. I'll be right back. Will you wait here?" The child didn't respond, but her large eyes followed his every movement. James walked backward out of the cargo bay. He kept his movements slow and steady. Once in the corridor, he ran to his quarters. He grabbed his warmest blanket. From the galley, he took a bottle of water and some plain crackers. Nothing too heavy. Her stomach couldn't handle much food after days of starvation. When he returned to the cargo bay, she was still there. She hadn't moved. "Here," James said. He set the blanket on the floor a few feet away from her. Then the water and crackers. "These are for you. Take your time." He sat down across from her. Not too close, just close enough to show he wasn't leaving. They sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, the child reached out. Her hand shook as she grabbed the water bottle. She drank slowly at first, then more eagerly. "Not too fast," James cautioned. "You'll make yourself sick." She stopped, looked at him, then continued drinking more slowly. Next, she took a cracker. She ate it carefully, watching him the whole time. "Better?" James asked. She nodded. Just a small movement, but it was communication. "Can you tell me your name?" James tried to keep his voice soft. The child opened her mouth. A sound came out. Soft. Musical. Not any language, James recognized. "You don't speak standard," James realized. "That's okay. We'll figure it out." He pulled out his communication device. It had a translation program. Basic, but it might help. "Say something again," he encouraged. "Anything." The child spoke, a few words in her language. The device recorded and analyzed. "Species, Silvari," the device reported. "Native to Silvara Prime. Language pattern recognized. Translation capability. 60%. 60%. James's heart sank. He knew about Silvara Prime. The planet had been caught in a civil conflict for 3 years. Millions had fled as refugees. Many children had been separated from their families. This little one had somehow ended up on his ship, alone, scared, running from something terrible. "You're safe now," James said. The device translated his words into her language. "I'm going to help you." For the first time, the child's expression changed. Her fear softened slightly. She pointed at herself. "Lyra," she said. "Lyra," James repeated. "That's a beautiful name." James spent the next hour making Lyra comfortable. He moved her from the cold cargo bay to a small storage room near his quarters. It wasn't large, but it was warm and safe. He brought extra blankets, pillows, and a portable heater. Lyra sat on the makeshift bed, wrapped in blankets. She looked tiny and fragile. Her large dark eyes still showed fear, but also something else now. Curiosity. "Are you feeling warmer?" James asked. The translation device converted his words into her language. Lyra nodded. She touched the soft blanket with her long fingers. Her people clearly valued texture and comfort. James sat on the floor near the doorway. He wanted to give her space. "Lyra, I need to understand how you got on my ship. Can you tell me?" The child was quiet for a moment. Then she began to speak. Her voice was soft and musical. The translation device worked to convert her words. "Station. Big station. Many people. Running. Scared. Bad men looking for children. I saw your ship. Door open. I hid in boxes." James felt his chest tighten. "Bad men?" "Traitors," Lyra said. The translation device struggled with the word, but James understood. "Smugglers. People who stole refugees and sold them to work camps or worse." "Where is your family?" James asked gently. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. Gone. War came to our village. Mother told me, run. I ran. I got to station. But alone. So, alone. James wanted to comfort her, but he knew better than to move too quickly. Instead, he spoke warmly. You're not alone anymore. You're with me now. And I promise, no one will hurt you. You keep me? Lyra asked. Her voice held hope and uncertainty. I'll keep you safe, James clarified. And I'll help you find your family. Lyra pulled the blanket tighter around herself. James nodded slowly. He had seen it himself during his travels. In times of crisis, many people looked away. They had their own problems, their own fears. But James couldn't ignore a child in need. Rest now, he said. Sleep if you can. I need to check our course. But I'll be right next door if you need me. Lyra lay down, still wrapped in blankets. You will not leave me? I won't leave, James promised. The door stays open. You can come find me anytime. Well, the door stays open. You can come find me anytime. He returned to the cockpit. His mind raced with questions and concerns. He had a young refugee on his ship, a child who was probably being hunted by criminals. He couldn't just deliver his cargo and forget about her. But what could he do? James pulled up information about silvery refugees. The data made him angry. Thousands of children had been separated from their families. Most ended up in overcrowded camps. Some disappeared completely, taken by smugglers. There were organizations that helped, the Galactic Refugee Council, several charity groups, but they were overwhelmed. The bureaucracy was slow. Lyra needed help now. James made a decision. He changed his ship's course. Instead of heading to Deneb 7, he plotted coordinates for Haven Station. It was 3 days away, in a different direction. Haven Station was known for its refugee support programs. They had proper facilities, good people, who actually cared. His cargo delivery would be late. The company wouldn't be happy. James might lose his contract, but he didn't care. A child's life was more important than medical supplies that could wait a few extra days. He sent a message to his cargo company. Emergency situation. Will be delayed. Details to follow. He would explain everything later. If they fired him, so be it. Next, he contacted Haven Station. A communication officer answered. Her name was Mara, a Centauri woman with kind eyes. Haven Station, how can we help you? My name is Captain James Wright. I have a situation. A silvery child stowed away on my cargo ship. She's a refugee. She needs help. Mara's expression became serious. How old is the child? I'm not sure exactly. Young. Maybe 7 or 8 in human years. She's scared. Malnourished. She says smugglers were hunting children at Port Station 17. We've heard reports from that station, Mara said grimly. Smuggling rings have been active there. You did the right thing contacting us. When will you arrive? 3 days, James replied. Good. We'll have medical staff and counselors ready. Does the child speak? Yes, but only her native language. I have a basic translation device. We have Silvery-speaking staff here, Mara assured him. She'll be able to communicate properly. Captain Wright, thank you for helping her. Many people would have just dropped her at the nearest station. I couldn't do that, James said simply. After ending the communication, James checked on Lyra. She was asleep, curled under the blankets. She looked peaceful for the first time since he found her. James returned to the cockpit and ate a simple meal. He was tired but couldn't rest yet. He needed to make sure everything was ready for their journey to Haven Station. Hours later, as he was reviewing navigational data, he heard soft footsteps. Lyra appeared in the cockpit doorway. She held her blanket wrapped around her shoulders. Cannot sleep more, she said through the translation device. Of course, James said. He pointed to the co-pilot's chair. You can sit there if you want. Lyra climbed into the large chair. Her small form looked almost comical in the seat designed for adult-sized beings. She stared out at the stars, through the cockpit window. So many lights, she whispered. Beautiful. Those are stars, James explained. Each one is a sun, like the one that warmed your home planet. My mother loved stars, Lyra said softly. She would show me at night. Tell me stories about sky spirits who danced in the darkness. That's a beautiful story, James said. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching space flow past the ship. James? Lyra said quietly. Yes? Thank you for not being scared of me. For seeing me when others did not. James felt emotion tighten his throat. You're welcome, Lyra. You deserve to be seen, to be safe. Lyra pulled her blanket closer and continued watching the stars. For the first time in weeks, perhaps months, she felt safe. The next 2 days passed quietly aboard the Morning Star. Lyra slowly began to trust James. She followed him around the ship, watching everything he did with curious eyes. She asked questions about the controls, the engines, and the stars they passed. James discovered that Lyra was incredibly smart. She learned quickly. Within a day, she understood basic ship functions. She could identify different star systems through the cockpit window. She even helped him organize supplies in the storage rooms. You're a natural spacer, James told her, as she carefully sorted medical packages by size. You could be a great pilot someday. Mark it. 19. Lyra's face lit up. Really? I could fly ships? With proper training, absolutely, James said. You have good spatial awareness. That's important for pilots. Lyra continued working, but James noticed she moved with more confidence now. The compliment had meant something to her. That evening, James prepared dinner. Nothing fancy, just heated meal packets and some fruit he had stored. But he set 2 places at the small galley table, made it feel like a real meal. Lyra sat across from him. She ate slowly, still adjusting to regular food after days of starvation. James, she said between bites. What will happen at Haven Station? James had been expecting this question. He put down his fork and spoke honestly. There are people there who help children like you. They're kind. They'll make sure you're healthy. They'll help look for your family. What if my family is gone? Lyra's voice was small. Then, they'll find you a good home, James said gently. With people who will care for you, who will keep you safe. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Will you stay with me? At the station? James felt his heart break a little. I'll stay until you're settled, until you feel safe. I promise. But then you leave? Lyra asked. I have to work, James explained. I deliver supplies to colonies. It's my job, but I'll visit. I'll make sure you're okay. Lyra nodded, but James could see the sadness in her eyes. She had already lost so much. Now she was about to lose the one person who had shown her kindness. That night, Lyra had nightmares. James heard her crying from the storage room. He rushed in and found her sitting up, trembling. Lyra, it's okay. Bad men, she whispered. They were chasing me. I could not run fast enough. No one is chasing you here, James said softly. You're on my ship. We're in deep space. No one can reach you. Lyra wiped her eyes. Sometimes, I forget where I am. I wake up and think I am still on the station, still hiding. James sat on the floor near her bed. That's normal. Your mind is trying to process everything that happened. But you're healing, getting stronger every day. I do not want to be alone again, Lyra said. You won't be, James promised. Even when I'm not physically with you, you'll have people around you who care, and I'll always be just a communication away. You can call me anytime. Rangren, one-livers are you? Lyra lay back down. Will you stay until I sleep? Of course. James stayed there, sitting on the floor, until Lyra's breathing became slow and steady. Even then, he waited another 10 minutes to make sure she was truly asleep. On the third day, Haven Station appeared on the sensors. It was a large orbital facility, bigger than Port Station 17, but it looked different, cleaner, more organized. Ships came and went in orderly patterns. We're almost there, James told Lyra. She stood beside him in the cockpit, watching the station grow larger on the screen. I am scared, Lyra admitted. That's okay, James said. New places are scary. But I'll be right beside you. The whole time. James contacted the station. Mara, the same Centauri woman from before, answered immediately. Captain Wright, we've been expecting you. We have a docking bay prepared. Medical team is standing by. Thank you, James said. We'll be docking in 20 minutes. The docking procedure was smooth. James had done it hundreds of times. But this time felt different. This time, he wasn't just delivering cargo. He was delivering something precious. When the ship was secure, James turned to Lyra. Ready? She took a deep breath and nodded. They walked down the ship's ramp together. The docking bay was quiet. Only 3 people waited: Mara, a medical officer, and a Silvari woman in counselor robes. The Silvari woman's eyes widened when she saw Lyra. She immediately knelt down and spoke in Lyra's native language. Her voice was gentle and warm. Lyra responded hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence. Hearing her own language seemed to comfort her greatly. Her name is Dr. Sina. Mara translated for James. She's telling Lyra that she's safe now, that we're here to help. Dr. Sina stood and spoke to James. Mara translated again. She says you saved this child's life, not just by giving her food and shelter, but by seeing her as a person worth saving. James felt embarrassed. I just did what anyone should do. But many don't, Mara said quietly. The medical officer approached with a scanning device. She examined Lyra gently, explaining everything she was doing. After a few minutes, she nodded with satisfaction. She's dehydrated but recovering well. No serious illness. Some malnutrition. But that will improve with proper meals. Overall, she's healthy. Dr. Sena spoke to Lyra again, then gestured toward the station entrance. Lyra looked back at James with uncertain eyes. James walked over and knelt in front of her. I'll visit in 3 days, after I deliver my cargo. I promise. And you can call me anytime using the communication system. Doctor, Sina will show you how. You promise you will come back? Lyra asked. I promise, James said firmly. Lyra surprised him by stepping forward and hugging him. Her small arms wrapped around his neck. James hugged her back gently. Thank you for finding me, she whispered. Thank you for trusting me, James replied. When they separated, Lyra took Dr. Sena's hand. The counselor spoke softly to her as they walked toward the station entrance. Lyra looked back twice, waving each time. James waved back until she disappeared through the doorway. Mara stood beside him. You did a good thing, Captain. James nodded, not trusting his voice. We'll take excellent care of her, Mara continued, and we'll begin searching for her family immediately. What if they can't be found? James asked. Then we'll find her a foster family, someone who will love her. Mara paused. Would you be interested in staying involved in her life? As a guardian or mentor? James looked at the doorway where Lyra had disappeared. He thought about his quiet, lonely cargo runs, his empty ship. Yes, he said. I would like that very much. 3 days later, James returned to Haven Station. He had delivered his cargo to Deneb 7 and explained everything to his company. They weren't happy about the delay, But when they learned he had rescued a refugee child, they understood. They even gave him a bonus for his compassion. James carried a bag filled with small gifts. A stuffed toy from Deneb 7. Some drawing supplies. A children's book about space exploration with pictures. He hoped Lyra would like them. Mara met him at the docking bay. She smiled warmly. "Captain Wright, Lyra has been asking about you every day. She'll be so happy you're here." "How is she doing?" James asked, as they walked through the station corridors. "Better than we expected," Mara replied. "She's eating well. Sleeping better. Dr. Sena has been working with her on processing her trauma. She's a resilient child." They reached the refugee center. It was bright and welcoming, nothing like James had imagined. Children of various species played in a common area. Adults supervised with patient smiles. The walls were painted with cheerful colors and decorated with artwork. "Lyra has been staying in our children's wing," Mara explained. "She shares a room with 2 other silvery children. Having others from her world has helped tremendously." They entered a classroom where several children sat at tables, working on lessons. Lyra sat near the window, focused on a drawing tablet. When she looked up and saw James, her face transformed with joy. "James!" She jumped up and ran to him. James knelt down and caught her in a hug. "Hey, Lyra, I told you I'd come back." "I knew you would," Lyra said. But James could hear the relief in her voice. She had hoped, but hadn't been completely certain. James showed her the gifts he brought. Lyra's eyes widened at each one. She especially loved the stuffed toy, a small blue creature with big eyes that reminded her of animals from her homeworld. "This is for me?" she asked, holding the toy carefully. "All of it is for you," James confirmed. Dr. Sena approached. She spoke to James through a translation device. "Lyra has made wonderful progress. She talks about you often. You made a significant impact on her healing." "I'm glad," James said. "Has there been any news about her family?" Dr. Sena's expression became serious. "We've been searching. The war on Silvara Prime has made communication difficult. Many records were destroyed, but we haven't given up." Lyra tugged on James's sleeve. "Can I show you my room?" "Of course." Lyra led James through the center, proudly showing him everything. Her room was small but comfortable. She shared it with 2 other Silvari girls who were shy but friendly. The walls had drawings the children had made. "This is mine," Lyra pointed to a drawing of a spaceship among stars. In the window of the ship, she had drawn 2 figures. One tall, one small. James felt emotion tighten his throat. "That's beautiful, Lyra. Is that us?" She nodded. "You and me. On the Morning Star." They spent the afternoon together. James ate lunch in the center's cafeteria with Lyra and her new friends. He watched her play games with other children. She was still quiet compared to the others, but she was smiling, laughing, occasionally. This was a different child than the terrified girl he had found hiding in his cargo bay. Later, they sat in a quiet garden area within the station. Real plants grew here, carefully maintained. It reminded James of Earth parks. "Lyra, I want to talk to you about something important," James began. She looked at him with attentive eyes. "I spoke with Dr. Sena and Mara. They're still looking for your family, but if they can't find them..." James paused, choosing his words carefully. "Would you want to stay with me? I could become your guardian. You could live on my ship, at least part of the time. When I'm working, you could stay here at the center with your friends." Lyra's eyes grew wide. "You want me? To be with you?" "I do," James said honestly. "I know I'm not Silvery. I don't know all your customs, but I care about you. I want to make sure you have a good life." "What about your work?" Lyra asked. "You said cargo pilots travel alone." "I did say that," James agreed. "But I was wrong. I think traveling would be better with a co-pilot. Someone smart and curious who wants to see the stars." Lyra was quiet for a long moment. James waited, not pushing. "I would like that," Lyra finally said. "But I want to keep coming here too. To see my friends. To learn with Dr. Senna." "Of course," James said. "We would work out a schedule. Maybe I take shorter cargo runs. Spend more time here between trips. We'll figure out what works best for you." "And if they find my mother?" Lyra asked quietly. "Then you go to her," James said without hesitation. "I would never keep you from your family. But until then, or if they can't be found, you'll have me." Lyra moved closer and leaned against him. "Thank you, James. You are like the sky spirits my mother told me about. You appeared when everything was dark. You brought light." James put his arm around her small shoulders. "You brought light to me too, Lyra. My life was very quiet before, a bit lonely. You changed that." Over the next few weeks, James began the legal process to become Lyra's guardian. There was paperwork, interviews, background checks. The Galactic Refugee Council wanted to ensure Lyra would be safe and well cared for. During this time, James modified his ship. He converted the storage room where Lyra had stayed into a proper bedroom. He installed a smaller pilot's chair in the cockpit. He added educational programs to the computer system. Meanwhile, the search for Lyra's family continued. Dr. Senna contacted refugee camps across 3 star systems. She searched databases. She spoke with other Silveri survivors. Finally, 3 months after James first found Lyra, Dr. Senna called him to her office. Lyra was with her teachers, so they could speak privately. "We found information," Dr. Senna said. Her expression was compassionate but sad. "Lyra's village was completely destroyed early in the war. We found records of survivors who were evacuated. Lyra's mother was on the list." James felt hope surge. "She's alive?" "She was evacuated to a refugee camp on Talos 4. Dr. Senna continued. "But the camp was overcrowded. Disease spread quickly." "I'm so sorry, Captain Wright. Lyra's mother died 6 months ago. There are no other family members we can locate." James closed his eyes. He had hoped for a different answer, for Lyra's sake. "Does Lyra know?" he asked. "Not yet. I wanted to tell you first. To prepare. Two. We should tell her together," James said. That evening, they sat with Lyra in a private room. Dr. Senna explained everything gently, in Lyra's native language. James held Lyra's hand. Lyra cried. Deep, heartbroken sobs. James and Dr. Senna stayed with her, offering comfort but not false hope. "I hoped she was looking for me," Lyra said through her tears. "I hoped we would find each other. She loved you very much," Dr. Senna said softly. "She made sure you escaped. She gave you life, even though she couldn't be with you." Eventually, Lyra's tears slowed. She wiped her eyes and looked at James. "You are still here." "I'm still here," James confirmed. Lyra nodded slowly. "Then, can I really be your family? Forever?" "Forever," James promised. "If that's what you want." "It is," Lyra whispered. She leaned against him, exhausted from grief but not alone. 6 months passed. The paperwork was finally complete. James Wright was officially Lyra's legal guardian. The day the approval came through, they celebrated with a small party at Haven Station. Lyra's friends were there. Dr. Senna brought a special cake. Lyra wore a new outfit, practical clothes suitable for space travel. But in colors, she had chosen herself. Bright, blue, and silver. She looked happy and healthy. So different from the frightened, starving child James had found. "Speech, speech," called one of the other children. Lyra looked at James nervously. He smiled and nodded encouragement. She stood up, holding her stuffed toy for comfort. "I want to thank everyone," she said in standard language. She had been practicing. "When I came here, I was very scared. I thought I had lost everything. But I found a new family. Not just James, but all of you. Dr. Sina, Mara, my friends. You showed me that home is not just a place. Home is people who care about you." Everyone clapped. Several people wiped tears from their eyes. After the party, James and Lyra prepared to leave Haven Station. They would return often. Lyra wanted to continue her counseling sessions with Dr. Sina and visit her friends. But now she had a real home aboard the Morning Star. As they walked to the docking bay, Lyra carried a bag filled with her belongings. Not much, some clothes, her drawings, books, and her stuffed toy. But it was more than she had when James first found her. "Nervous?" James asked. "A little," Lyra admitted, "but also excited. I want to see new places, meet new people. We'll have plenty of adventures," James promised. "I've already accepted a cargo contract to the outer colonies. 3 different planets. You'll get to see all kinds of worlds." They boarded the Morning Star. Lyra immediately went to her room, carefully placing her things in the storage compartments James had installed. She touched the walls, the bed, the small desk, making it her own space. "It's perfect," she said. James showed her the changes he had made to the cockpit. The smaller pilot's chair was adjustable. "When you're older and bigger, we can replace it. But for now, this should fit you well." Lyra climbed into the chair. Her feet didn't quite reach the floor, but she could see all the controls clearly. "Can I help with takeoff?" "Absolutely. You'll be my official co-pilot. But first, you need to learn the basics. No touching anything without asking." "Agreed?" "Agreed," Lyra said seriously. The Morning Star departed Haven Station smoothly. Lyra watched the station shrink in the view screen, then turned to look at the stars ahead. "Where are we going first?" she asked. "Meridian 5, James replied. "It's a mining colony. They need medical supplies and equipment. The journey will take 4 days. 4 days of just us and the stars," Lyra said softly. "I like that." Over the following days, James taught Lyra about ship operations. She learned to read the navigation charts. She understood basic engine functions. She could identify dozens of star systems by their patterns. "You're a natural learner," James told her. "In a few years, you could probably fly this ship yourself." "Really?" Lyra's eyes shone with excitement. "Really. Though we'll need to get you proper training and certification first." They developed routines. Mornings were for lessons. James taught her mathematics, basic science, and standard language. Afternoons were for practical ship training. Evenings, they would prepare meals together and talk about their day. Lyra also kept in touch with her friends at Haven Station. The communication system allowed video calls. She would tell them about the planets she visited, the people she met. They would share news from the station. When they reached Meridian 5, Lyra experienced her first planetary landing. She gripped her armrests as the ship entered the atmosphere, eyes wide with wonder and a little fear. "I've got you," James said calmly. "Landing is the easiest part." The colony was built into the side of a mountain. Massive mining equipment dotted the landscape. The people here worked hard in difficult conditions, but they were friendly. James let Lyra help with the cargo delivery. She checked items off the manifest, counted containers, and even spoke with some of the colonists. They were charmed by the small Silvari girl, with the big, curious eyes. One colonist, an elderly Valkyrie woman named Tessa, gave Lyra a small crystal from the mines. "This is fire opal," Tessa explained. "Very rare. It brings good luck to travelers." Lyra held the crystal carefully. "Thank you. I will treasure it." "You're a brave little one," Tessa said. traveling the stars with your father. Lyra glanced at James. He hadn't corrected the woman's assumption. Neither did Lyra. Yes, she said quietly. He is very good to me. As they prepared to leave Meridian 5, Lyra was quiet. James noticed her thoughtful expression. What's on your mind? He asked. That woman called you my father, Lyra said. You did not correct her. James considered his words carefully. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. If you want me to explain to people that I'm your guardian, not your biological father, I will. Lyra shook her head. No. I liked it. Is that wrong? To think of you as my father when my real father might still be out there somewhere? James stopped what he was doing and knelt down to her level. Lyra, listen to me. Love doesn't work like a limited resource. You can honor your parents' memory and still accept new people into your heart. Your mother would want you to be happy, to feel safe and loved. There's nothing wrong with that. So I can call you father? Lyra asked hesitantly. If I want to? After one. If that feels right to you, James said gently, I would be honored. Lyra smiled, a real, genuine smile that reached her eyes. Then, can we go to our next destination, father? James felt his eyes sting with emotion. Yes. Let's go home to the stars. Daughter. They traveled to 2 more colonies over the next few weeks. Each planet was different. Each brought new experiences. Lyra sketched the landscapes in her drawing tablet. She collected small mementos from each place. One evening, as they traveled between systems, Lyra was working on a school assignment. Dr. Senna had sent her. The topic was, What home means to me. James saw her writing carefully on her tablet. When she finished, she showed it to him. Home is not a planet or a station, Lyra had written. Home is where someone sees you when you are invisible, where someone stays when you are afraid, where someone chooses you when they could walk away. Home is my father's ship. Home is the stars we chase together. Home is knowing I am not alone anymore. We have I5 the start. We have a plus T now. James read it twice. Then he pulled Lyra into a hug. That's beautiful. And you're absolutely right. You're never alone. Not anymore. Lyra hugged him back. Neither are you. They stayed like that for a moment, surrounded by the quiet hum of the ship and the endless expanse of stars beyond the windows. Months earlier, James had been a lonely cargo pilot, traveling silent routes through empty space. Lyra had been a terrified refugee hiding in the dark, believing no one cared if she lived or died. Now they were a family. The galaxy was vast and often difficult, but together, they had found something precious. A home that traveled with them, built not from metal and circuits, but from compassion, trust, and love. The Morning Star continued its journey through the cosmos. In the cockpit, a human captain and his Silvari daughter charted their course together, heading toward whatever adventures waited among the stars. And neither of them would ever be alone again.